There you go.
In case you start to sing and you want to grab one, I brought an extra mic just for you.
Oh, come on with
It's
it.
over here. All I got is turn it up. It's minus 20 dB on the switch. You know how that works, I'm sure.
Show me.
The switch right here. Minus 20 decibels. If you flip that over, then
Okay, and that's how I can sing if I get inspired.
you can see you're going to
Got you. Okay, that's what's up.
We're live.
All right.
Okay. Great.
Facebook, we're on Twitch, we're on YouTube.
Try not to
Right.
walk too much in front of the camera, though.
You said this is mint?
Yes, this is fresh mint.
Awesome.
It might be a little bit hot.
Ooh, it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait.
Yeah. Yeah, I just made it. So that's why it's nice to cool down.
Wow, there's a vibe in here.
Yeah, glad you
Down
like
to
it.
the colors of the light back there.
I feel like it's official now because you are my expert on vibe. I got the vibe from you. I would go to your shows when you were playing with Heavenly Noise. You were playing with was it Tropic of Cancer?
Tropical Cancer.
Tropic
Yep.
of Cancer. Yeah.
Tropic of Cancer.
Yeah.
That's
And
the
these are
band.
these are the bands
Yeah.
only
Okay.
like fewer people know about. So if you're
Yeah.
watching the channel, welcome to Floridian. We're here with Patrick Evan McMillan. Did I say your last name? I call you Patrick Evan all the time because that's what I see you.
Evan is my middle name.
Yep.
Huh.
I learned that just
What's your stage name or performance?
But Patrick Evan, but let me tell you, the thing is, I'm wondering if I should just go back to McMillan because nobody messes that up. I can call a club that's putting out flyers or whatever, and I'll say, okay, it's Patrick Evan, and I do this on purpose. I say, no S.
That was my next
On
question.
purpose, I said. I get there, S written outside on Patrick Evans. Because I get it, because it's like more of a last name.
Yeah.
But when I say no S, you know, ooh, let me cut this off. I'm thinking, but so, yeah. I want to use Patrick Evan, but I don't want to use Patrick Evans.
Right.
that's right.
Yeah.
Because you got the same thing as me. We both are well known for how we speak, but the S is a little more work for us. We got a
We got
unique
these gaps.
feature in the mouth. Yeah, that's right. So leave the S alone. Do me a favor. Don't make me
Exactly.
work extra for it.
Exactly. Oh, my
Patrick,
God.
you had an amazing career. You played with Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
You played with you put together some pieces with Cyndi Lauper. What was it you did with Cyndi Lauper?
Party.
Oh, partying with Cyndi Lauper. You're just friends with Cyndi Lauper.
Party.
Okay.
A
Well,
party.
And when it comes to friends, I know you got a lot of friends in music. You've been making music
and
for a long
family.
time. Mhm.
You know, it's like a trait, a gene.
Oh, really?
So Alexandra hasn't met you yet. Maybe give her a
Well, we met.
Oh, we met.
Yeah,
It just
we
been
met
such a long
once,
time.
Yeah.
right,
at
but
the-
I don't mean in enough to know your whole backstory. She
Yeah.
just met you like in passing,
Oh.
maybe.
I'm
So
all
maybe
curious.
and for our viewers as well, because a lot of people might be new. Maybe tell us a little bit about your history in music and what brought you to Jacksonville and that.
Born and raised.
Mhm.
Father was a singer, and he passed away 3 days after I was born. So, and then my parents had 9 kids. I'm the last. So my father was gone, and then I had a brother by his name, Arthur Miles McMillan, right? By the time I was like 5, he was already in New York pursuing music. By the time I was like 5, so I'm still, there's a long stretch between my family. And so, it was like already there, when I saw him perform, he was in a play, Ain't Misbehaving, by the music of Fats Waller. He traveled in that show all over the world on ships and everywhere, right? And they came to Jacksonville once when I was in junior high school. And I think that was when I saw him at Times Union at that time performing. I think that's when the thing hit me, like, that's what I want to do.
That show is a legend
How
to this
old
day.
were you?
I was in junior high, so maybe I was 13 or 14, maybe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that show is a legend to this day.
Yeah. Well, he turned us on to a man I probably hadn't I heard of, And a lot of people, you know what? I have missed some moments. There are young white musicians who have turned me on to infamous black jazz musicians. you know, because when I was coming up over where I just left, right, over in Grand Park, right, we was listening to funk and soul, and, you know, then rock started getting in there. We weren't listening to not even reggae when I was coming up. Everybody know about it now, but when I came up, and I grew up in a hood, we were not listening to reggae or jazz. So, like when I left Jacksonville after high school and went to New York, I was working in a video store eventually. People like Dizzy Gillespie lived in that area would be coming through.
Yeah.
I'm renting videos to Dizzy Gillespie, George Benson.
Yeah.
All of them live
I got
in
his
Inglewood.
record inside. George Benson.
You're kidding me?
Yeah, I got his
Yeah,
record.
they live right where they lived on the other side of the track from where I was living. But you know, they all live in Inglewood Cliffs, New Jersey, and I was in Inglewood. So they're like everybody else. They go to the video store.
George Benson's on my short list. He's in my living room. When I say he's in there, I mean he's in my living room with the records I keep up top.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
But where I missed out is I didn't know these people's history at the time this was happening. Like
You were just hanging out.
yeah, Dizzy Gillespie would come in. I'd be like, "Oh, that's the guy I used to see on Sesame Street. He'd be blowing up his cheeks." I knew he was a horn player.
Yeah.
But I didn't know he was Dizzy Gillespie, the innovator.
Yeah, because you're from Jacksonville, but you traveled a lot. You went out to L.A. for a while, right?
Yeah, L.A.
Because you were producing, music out there.
Well, I was working, singing background. That's the only time I was in L.A. I never got the chance to do any recording out there.
Yeah, I guess that's what I really mean. You were making music, but you were doing background vocals for some of the biggest people in the industry, and you also performed with some bands that were lesser known but well received
Here in town
and around, I believe, right?
Oh yeah, well,
a lot of underground names that a lot of people don't know about, as is the case with a lot of really solid blues music. You know, it's often the stuff you don't know. Like you said, you're still finding out. So am I. All of us. I think when the day I stop, learning about it is a sad day.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you have a mind like that. I've known you for a long time. And me and Sean Thurston, when we mentioned Brother Bill, we call him 007. We said he reminded, because I was like, he kind of reminded me like James. Was it James Bond? He said, "You know what? I know exactly what you mean."
That's very kind of you. Yeah.
No, it's just like 007 kind of thing. But yeah, it's been a lot of traveling and a lot of Mariah Carey took me all over the world.
So you worked with her for a while?
Yeah, about 2 years.
Oh, nice.
Went on tour and everything.
Yeah,
right?
Even before her record came out. Before The Vision of Love came out, I was already working with her, because I recorded
to make that album.
Yeah,
right?
I wrote one song called "There's Got to Be a Way," and then when she got ready to go on a promotional tour, and for people aspiring to be musicians, working musicians like that on that level, if you don't know what that is, that's when an artist has a record coming out, but the record's not out yet. You're promoting it to actually sales and stuff like within the record company. So we were promoting for Sony. Like I would go out to California with her and we would be doing shows for people who worked for Sony.
Oh.
And their guests. It was not like her record wasn't out. Nobody knew who she was. Huh. Yeah, so we did that in Europe and everything. This is before her record even came out. We were already doing shows for sales for within the company. They were introducing her to A&R and different product people who did the things in the company besides music. So that was cool. So I was with her like, I didn't know that part of the industry existed. Like, oh, so you're doing sales shows for Sony all over the country. I didn't know how many offices of Sony there were in the United States. We were in Texas, New York, Atlanta, California, San Francisco, which is California. I started learning all this backline stuff. Yeah, it was cool. It was interesting to know.
That is really cool. I didn't realize there were so many Sony offices. I imagine they would conglomerate. So
they probably have now. you know, but at that time when she first came out. But you're probably right. They probably have now.
You also knew Lauryn Hill, right?
Mm-hmm.
From the Fugees.
I did.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, she.
I mean, because you made me think of her when you started talking about some like roots music and her band with the Roots, of course.
Well, you mean the Fugees?
The Fugees.
Yeah,
that's right, the Fugees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lauren was a teenager when I knew her. She was not singing. I mean, you know, she was singing.
Yeah.
But she wasn't doing it. She
wasn't doing it professionally? Wow.
Yeah, you know, but she was well on the way. But, you know, and again, Sean Thurston asked me, he said, wow, so you just have a knack for seeing people and knowing that they're going to be major, right? And I said, no. I said, the part that I know is, I was like, wow, she can sing.
That's right.
He can sing.
That's right.
Now, I was working with Mariah before it came out, but I wasn't like, oh my God, y'all better get ready. This girl about to blow up. You know what I'm saying? Right. I was not like that about her or Lauren. I was not like, Lauren's going to blow up. Trust me. Nah,
you're just following like your
that.
Heart, right?
I was like, she can sing. Huh?
Yeah, you're just following your heart.
That's it.
Heart,
period.
Voice,
Period. But Lauren was a teenager who I was introduced to by AJ Calloway, if you guys remember him. He used to be a DJ on 101 in Park. Okay. So he was on that for years.
That was here in Jacksonville?
No, BET. You know, he was
on BET. Yeah.
This was a popular.
So he was on TV.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You know. Yeah. So, but the point was, he was a teenager too. He and Lauren were going to school, and I was singing backgrounds for this girl who had this one record out. One, right? And I saw him. He was like 15. I was like 25, 24. I said, wow, he looks like me when I was a kid, right? And so he came over to me backstage and was talking. It was AJ, and he was like, yeah, you know, I'm trying to get into the business, and he's 14 years old. He's already networking, right? And he was like, I have this friend, Lauren. He told me about her. And then so he and I exchanged numbers, and he had we were three-waying each other on the phone, not the cell phone at that time, you know. Uh-huh. And Lauryn Hill would be singing and kind of like audition, and I started calling her for stuff. Like after I got on the Mariah Carey, I was like, okay, well, there's certain things I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this. So I would call Lauren and say, hey, I know these guys, they need a background singer for the night. Do you want to do it? And she would go. Or I would be like, there's a record that I'm singing on tonight. They want me to get a group of people. This is before the Fugees, any of this. Mm-hmm. There's an album right now of a singer from England. Her name is Misha Paris, right? Mm. And with Lauren's name, my name, I bet that was the first time her name was ever printed on an album, period. As background, leads, whatever. You know, because I was like trying to bring everybody up. You know, Lauren can do this, is easy. Come on, now it's like a choir thing. Come on. And I've actually found that album since, you know, in recent years. And I was like, there it is. Lauren's name, mine, and Trey Lorenz, who still sings with Mariah. He's been working with her. We were friends already before that, you know. So, yeah, and AJ Calloway, the host of the E Extra and all these different things he was on, him too. I don't think he had ever done anything professionally, but Mariah was doing the video for "Make It Happen," which I sing on that. I do sing backgrounds on that song, and they needed a drummer, and I said, I know a guy. You just gotta fake it, you know. I said, I know a guy.
Giving away all the secrets.
Yeah, exactly. And he came and he did it. As far as I know, that was his first gig too.
Wow.
You know. So yeah, it's not like I'm thinking somebody's gonna blow up. I'm just like, I like talented people. To then now.
That's right.
You know.
I saw that. And I think that's how, no matter where you were put on this planet, if I was in that place, you and I were going to gravitate to the same spot, because I love great music, and you are always at the epicenter of all the great bands and all the great gigs going on, and sure enough, you know, anytime I'm just tearing it up on the dance floor, I would frequently see you up there singing. You have an iconic voice as well. That's very
Thank
memorable, and I've certainly appreciated it for many years.
And I was telling my brother that about you. He was like, well, who is this? I said, this is the person who has supported bands that I've been in, him and his sister, for years.
Yeah.
I actually sang at Tracy's baby shower for her first baby.
Oh, from Bjorn?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think he was still inside.
Yeah.
Me and my band sang at his baby shower at your grandparents'
That's my sister.
house.
And my grandparents' house.
Yep.
Right.
And then it was York and my great nephew, my niece's son, wound up being the best of friends.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's totally ironic. Totally nothing to do with me or nothing.
Right,
Just that universe. Tracy was teaching at Thomas Jefferson, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my niece is the principal there and has been for probably 20 years now, maybe more. And so when she found out that Laura was my niece, she said that Silas is his best friend. And then I asked her, and she was like, "Oh, that's Silas' best friend," you know. So yeah, it was just that's vibe, that's energy.
Yeah, that's right. So you have always been an uplifting person, and that's rare in the world of artists. I think it's a challenge for a lot of artists. They kind of go through stages as they develop, and it's normal to have your own fears, your own concerns. I know, for example, one thing I heard in an interview that you gave with Goliath, even like speaking and doing some of these sorts of events is not your top thing. You're not a type of person to come out and talk about yourself if not asked.
See these?
Yeah, I do. That's right. That's why I hope our environment makes you on a comfortable vibe. I hope you feel,
this
like when
awesome.
we're cool.
No, for real, this is awesome.
So
yeah,
it's really amazing how you've always been able to uplift others. You always are encouraging. You get others involved, and I know that you must experience plenty of other things, but that's not what you express or what you share. You just continue to share, a really positive and uplifting way to be an artist in today's world, which has new challenges. Yeah. You want to tell us maybe a little bit about how you work through some of the challenges? There's AI, people are inside more, they don't go out as much, but you're performing. I see you up at the Comer, I see you at different places. How are you addressing some of the challenges that are hitting all performers now, if you want to talk about that?
Yeah. Well, I had to learn something that I heard Joni Mitchell say. She wasn't singing it, she spoke it. And I feel exactly the same way. She said, "I'm not in the hits business. I'm in the artist business." And that's exactly how I feel. If you want to hit, for me, if you want to, like a person might go and buy some art. If you want some art and music, I finally feel comfortable saying, "I'm your guy." This is a current comfortability, by the way. Mm-hmm. To say, because let's go back to what Goliath said, I oftentimes are like, don't talk, like you're saying, I'm reluctant sometimes to talk about myself. You know what I'm saying? But if people ask me, I'm not. Like if someone asks me a question, but I know some people that are right here in town that they are their best promoters.
I'm guilty of that.
Really?
That's why I started doing this.
From you.
I appreciate that. Our friends know. It's our friends who know the worst about us, but refuse to believe it. No, I think I talk too much about myself. But I started, as I get older, I try to do something better about that, and that's why I started this show. I said, let me talk with some people that have got something going on and broadcast that and share that, because my talking about things I'm interested in has caused me to meet people like yourself. There's an upside to it.
Oh yeah, you're correct.
I'm sure I drove a few away, but
but they weren't the soulmates.
That's right. But see, people with an uplifting, positive spirit like yourself, I just continue to know for many years, and I'm so glad to.
Yeah, I have a concern about the music industry.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Because they can't stop you from singing.
Yeah.
Or playing music. What? Some of my best shows have happened after the show. When the musician, the guitar player takes me back where I live and come upstairs and we're hanging out and doing our late night thing. And we are out on the balcony and he's playing acoustic. I'm saying he like it's one, but no, there have been musicians.
Mm-hmm.
And then other people start coming over. And I mean, some of the because there's no expectation.
Right.
You don't have to play the hits. The clubs want to hear you play something that people know. None of that. We're just doing it completely for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's right.
Some of the best concert shows I've ever performed at have been after the show at my house in the backyard around a fire or somebody else's house on a balcony at some apartment. Me and some roommates are renting. I'm serious.
Sure. That's right.
Now, the thing I don't like about the music industry, and a lot of stuff is coming out, as we know.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing is, I've gotten 2 residual checks for working with Mariah recently. One of them I put up on Facebook because it was funny. I said, well, I got this check, 27 cents or 26 cents.
Oh,
residual
geez.
check from Saturday Night Live, right? And I put this up on Facebook, and everybody hit this because they know I'm making fun of this. And I'm like,
Yeah,
come on,
the stamp costs more than that. Just send you a stamp.
Why would they?
They're like, here, we sent you a stamp.
Yeah, why? I mean, and some people were mad at Mariah. Some people were like, Mariah should be shamed. I said, no, it's not Mariah. This is NBC.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I'm saying? We did their show. Now, the checks used to be bigger. And I'm talking about this for people who want to go into TV and stuff also and do think that kind of stuff. When you say you do something like Saturday Night Live, the first, they might repeat it in a year. Now, that check will be a little bit less than what you made to do the show, but it'll still be in the hundreds. Mm-hmm. And then the more years that goes by, it gets smaller and smaller. I have, since I've been home, gotten one for like $300 since I've been back in Jacksonville. Apparently that time is gone. So I got this 27-cent check, and I put this up on Facebook, and I said, come on in, aspiring musicians. Just come right on in. So this is what
these networks are paying less and less.
Oh,
and at the same time, AI is putting out content that's competing with humans.
Isn't that amazing?
But isn't I mean, how many years passed since that show?
Oh, shoot. 91, 92.
Okay, so I mean, that makes sense, right?
That the residuals would go down and down.
Yeah.
And
It makes
down.
sense they
Yeah.
go down, but the
Yeah.
level to which they've gone down has become really low for premium content. What we're talking about here is content that's branded, it's premium, and it used to have a certain floor. It would hit a certain point. Like if you want to rerun even something like the Bob Newhart show, from way back when, there's a certain amount of viewers you're going to need to have to support the cost of that show. And what's happened in the streaming wars is that floor has fallen out for what was premium content with a minimum, now no longer has that. And they're saying, it's a rerun, or it was
because
on a
there's
web
so much
episode,
content?
or because there's more content available, because there is a flood of extra content. But it's not a matter so much of that, it's how it's distributed now. The way it's distributed, networks produce content. So they're in the production game, and the production game was always a squeeze game. Right? Am I wrong about this? Producers come out, find artists, and producers make all the money. The guys sitting with the lawyers somewhere right now are in big old houses, right? It's okay.
That's so wrong. No,
it's
fine,
okay because they live a different life, though.
No, it's fine.
They can't
this
sing.
Is the part I don't like, Brother Bill. Is that because what you're saying, that was a great segue, because I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah.
What I don't like is that these people are coming to the hood and taking talented people from the hood, and they go into the trailer park and getting talented people from the trailer park
That's right.
and signing them up to a contract. They have no idea what in the world they're reading because they're not lawyers. And they can't afford it. Who from the hood, who from the West Side trailer, they can't afford an entertainment attorney because somebody saw their talent, they want to sign them. Who?
That's right. And Jay-Z said, if you grew up with holes in your zapatos, you'd be celebrating the minute you was having dough. So they come in with a little bit of money, and boom, now it's a party, and nobody thinks about it after that. Meanwhile, the real money's in the back.
It's the truth.
Yeah, but it's
It is the truth.
but the industry now is quite shaken up. It's more accessible for people to come into the market, but when you hit that market, it's an ocean where you used to have some tidal pools that you could grow up in, and now it's just the deep end of the ocean, I think.
Yeah. Well, there are people that think that you can get, if they think if you have the name lawyer, like say, there are people that may have a cousin that's a criminal lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Please do not have them read your contract.
Yeah, that's
Please.
right.
No, it's a whole
That's
nother
right.
language. And I know some entertainment attorneys, but sometimes I'm in a battle with them because I'm like, that's okay for you to be talking with these artists, and you're telling them as much as they can afford to hear.
Mm.
I think even, let me stay where I'm at. I think that you are telling them, in my opinion, more than they can afford to hear, and it's like as a burlesque show. The more you can give, the more might come off. And I think that's what's happening with the entertainment attorneys and stuff like that. They know, and these record companies and these producers, they are sitting up there in these people's faces, knowing they don't know what they're getting themselves into, knowing they don't know what mechanical royalties is, knowing they don't know how publishing rights. Yeah, Alexandra. And oh, by the way, while I'm telling you what you don't know, hey, we got your mama here now at this dinner. You haven't even signed yet. We just want you. It's all a mind game. Here's like what you were saying. Here's $20,000. We're just giving you this just to let you know we're interested. Your mama's there. She's excited. We've never seen that kind of money. And then guess what? They don't tell you. Now, you're going to have to pay this back. This is just an advance. Wait, you're not going to see any of your money until you, they're not doing
They charge you for their own things. They buy you all the time. And they almost never know that. They'll come out rolling up with cars and all this stuff, and then it's in their own contract. It's billed back to them after the fact.
But because they don't know what the contract is saying, because it's in law terms and we don't speak law, they don't know what they're signing. And the people that's giving the contract know this.
Yeah.
Who was raised like that? None of us was raised like that.
But a lot of that's changing in that it's not changing in that you're getting a lot more money, unfortunately. But it is changing in the sense that the record companies are now under threat from all the like YouTube Music, Spotify, Pandora. The streaming services have pretty much started to dominate the game because they've got the viewership, and the streaming services give out the statistics. They're like, hey, just make whatever. And so you see a lot of like singles. People put out a lot of like singles now. They don't have a need to like make an album.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
That's the route I would like to go.
Don't you have to still record somewhere?
Yeah. You still got to record somewhere,
So
but
you just need a studio.
but you need a studio, but you can rent
put it on a medium.
Yeah, but
to
like
distribute.
you get a legendary local studio for like $200. They'll record your stuff, and that'd be where they, like where Freebird was recorded.
Oh yeah.
Like you can get like studio time is become less expensive and more attainable.
Yeah.
And the equipment, if you want to have it at home to do some parts at home, is much more attainable. Like what we're doing here.
Right, exactly.
With this studio is much more attainable.
No, I agree. So it's like I wish that nobody who wants to sign something in the music industry would go into it unless they were to take some entertainment law classes. Because you're going to be so, when you realize how much you're talking about business and how little you're talking about music, it's an energy swipe.
Yeah, I think that's why you always see these partnerships. There's always a musician with a manager, and the manager still has to have lawyers, but the manager has to know all that legal stuff. He has to know how to manage lawyers.
Absolutely.
I wonder if there are some entertainment attorneys who actually do this for the talent, and that's maybe like a percent of whatever the
manager / attorney, like all in one. I think that's what.
No, not managers. No, entertainment attorneys for the talent. that they offer, because
yeah.
like you were saying, most people, especially if you talk about, talent coming. You okay?
So, yeah.
Is like, am I saying something wrong? No.
No. No.
Pause here.
Yeah. Yeah. Conflict of interest. I'm an entertainment lawyer. I forgot to mention. No, I'm not.
Right.
Not at all.
People cannot afford that, so they make those mistakes. Very very critical mistakes. I wonder if there are entertainment attorneys, who offer the services to the talent for free in exchange, like for whatever, I don't know, commission, or maybe even
they call them like spec deals. Like, I'll help you, and then if you get a record deal, then you'll pay me out of your advance.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. They call them spec deals,
Spec.
And you can do that. You can do that in the studio too. You can work out spec deals with studios. I have a very good chance I'm going to get a record deal. I have these connections. You can record here, and if you get signed, then you'll pay us out of your advance for the work you did here. So yes.
But of course you have to know that there is such an option.
Well, if they hear you and they believe in you, that's when it happens. It's not just because you ask. Yeah, they're like, no, you are great. Yeah, I will do a spec deal with you because you are fantastic. That kind of thing. They have to believe it. They have to see it.
Yeah. Because I know it's not relevant, it's a completely different industry, and I'm not even sure if it's actually based on a true story, pretty like close to the story. You know that the Michael Jordan film that came out last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah.
I forgot, Nike or Air.
So Nike Air is the shoe.
Right, but it was called Air. And it was a similar situation, but he had his mom, who was very firm and stern about protecting his interests.
Yeah, Michael Jordan, the basketball, the everything player. He didn't just play basketball; he plays everything. Yeah, and his mom was like a.
Right, he was like that. Again, if the story portrayed in the movie is true to the true story, he had his mom, who had his best interest and who was like, no, we're not doing this. We're doing this way, even though it was sounded like a crazy deal, but they knew that he had talent. Right. They knew where he would be. So they're like, okay, I guess that's what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but of course, you have to have that mom if you don't have the entertainment attorney.
Yeah.
If you want to go
she better become one too.
Yeah. If you want to go in the deep end of the ocean, you need sharks. You just got to have them. There's no way around it. And
no, it is not.
I keep wondering if we ever get to a point. I know, like you and a lot of people I know, it feels to me like people who behave this way are actually just wasting a lot of time and energy, because it feels like the competitive part of the world is something that existed from long ago, and we've evolved beyond that.
Absolutely.
And our mind just doesn't always comprehend it, and a lot of people still have a lot of power just churning this stuff up. And if we work together, we always have more.
Yeah, and if you study history, you see that thing is always, the gladiators were competitive, and I'm sure there were rich people organizing things like they do in boxing. Like, okay, you're going to throw this fight because we need for this to happen, or I bet that's always been going on. I bet the rich, wealthy people have always owned artists. I mean, who else could pay for Da Vinci?
Yeah, that's right. They have sponsors.
Who else could pay for them? Poor people weren't paying them.
And I look at countries that are well off, and if it's really well off, they tend to have a more egalitarian system. They tend to be more equal, and then everybody is at a higher level.
Right.
And then countries that are like, nah, you're on your own. We're over here. You're over there. It's like bad for everybody. Even if you're rich there, it's not a great place to be. So, how'd that go for you? Being a jerk to others.
Yeah. Like, how much do you want?
Yeah.
How much do you think you need,
We need each other is what we need.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to work together, and the better ways we can do that, I think that we have a better world.
Yeah, you know what? And I think about Mariah, because she's had a bunch of people have challenges, but some people have these other. So she came up with his dad. He's black. Her mom's Irish. Her mother disowns her because she's married this black man in New York and all that stuff, right? So And then she went through that and getting called things and girls that acting like they were her friends and you know and you know you can look at her and not really know what she just looks very universal. She could be white, she could be mixed, she could be Spanish, she could be and
I
so
think that's more difficult in the performing world. In the performing world, you got to deal with everybody's opinion.
Exactly.
What you look like.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's where I feel about her. It's like she wasn't even done dealing with what she came up in emotionally before she got a record deal and became famous. Like she hadn't even dealt with somebody shooting through the window at their house when she was growing up. She hadn't even dealt with her mother's family disowned her because she married my dad. She told me one time, she said, I used to be like, what does that make me nasty or something? Like, what does that mean? My grandparents disowned my mother because she married that father. What does that make me? She had said to me once, this was stuff she was going through as a growing up. So girls inviting her places, and then a bunch of white girls, and she think that this is all cool, and then they get to the house and berate her, call her racial names.
Mean Girls style.
Yes, and
like
she loves that. She loves that movie. Does by the way, she loves that movie. So that's what. Yeah, I don't know what the connection is, but she loves that movie.
Because they get theirs in the end. That's why.
Oh, I haven't seen it. Okay, I haven't even. Okay, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that is what it is. Okay.
That's the only reason I watched it. I don't normally watch it, but I
that must be it. I think you cleared it up for me.
Yeah, I was bullied. I was bullied in school, and I remember going all through high school and thinking, man, how am I ever going to get by in life? I'm like, nobody wants to be around me for like any period of time. And it turns out that the ones that are you're meant to be with, you'll be with. Maybe those people just aren't with you in high school.
It's the truth.
You got to find them sometimes. You got to find those people.
Yeah. They gravitate. They come. But it's becoming your security.
Yeah. I still don't hang out with the people I went to high school with.
Neither do I.
I still live in the same city.
I don't either. I didn't.
Nothing against them, but we just don't see eye to eye, I guess. And
yeah, I don't either.
Yeah. And I like all people. So I don't mean it as a separation. I just mean it like it was obvious I was going to go somewhere else and be something different and do something different.
I'm sure they changed too. Well, I'm sure. Let's hope.
Some of them.
Some of them.
Be like, I'm sorry, I was so mean to you.
Hopefully people.
No, I'm being. I feel like a mean girl now because I don't want to be. But I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, so I'm holding back the jokes.
Right. Yeah.
Where did you want to go with this thought about Mariah that she still was dealing with a lot of
and that's a lot of people.
Stuff.
There's a lot of people that have come up and have had really difficult things that have happened to them in their lives, in their families and stuff. But you haven't even dealt with that. And then you're famous. So now you're in this other thing that's totally could care less what you went through there. They're so busy trying to make you what they need you to be so they can make this money. It's just a very selfish, unconcerned type of business. And I want people to know, I'm not saying don't go into it because you can take care of yourself and your family and all this and that. But you got to know it's not about music.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not. It's not. You better make it about music because it'll be you and those that love you. That company is not thinking about you, even though they're smiling.
Yeah. Hunter S. Thompson, one of my favorite writers, talked about the music business. He said he described it as a long, dark hallway filled with drug dealers and liars and pimps, and there's a downside also.
That's what it was based on, Brother Bill.
Yeah.
Alexandra. In other words, it was the music industry was started so that criminals could launder money and you know what I'm saying?
That was actually my next question. Do you think it's mostly endemic to the American show business? That kind of like...
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Dang.
I used to live in Amsterdam. Here? I can say the show business in Amsterdam is very showy.
What sense?
But is it sharing and showy, or is it just?
Yeah. So they've had like a burlesque kind of a concept since before the United States was a country. The idea of doing a show, but the show always involved nudity.
Well, I'm not talking about the expression, right? I'm talking about actually about the
the business part.
The business part, how the things are done, the competition, the brutality, the insensitivity. I'm gonna say no.
You know why, Alexandra? Because Sony is in England too, and so if they're there, then that means they're running it like they're running it here.
Right.
Yeah. When I was in Europe, I did enjoy touring, and I felt that my part as a DJ was a lot easier. Here, I was struggling to get shows where people would pay me like $50 for doing a show, and I'd have to do them because I don't have a lot of other shows, so I just have to stack a bunch of shows.
Right, exactly.
You know, I got to take the shows, whatever they pay.
Yeah, I know all about it.
Yeah, and then I'd get to Europe, and that wasn't the case at all. I was really surprised that I was able to get everything paid at least €200. And,
which is how much in America?
It's similar now 1-to-1, but it was 30% more. So it was like over $250 for me.
How long is a show?
In my case, it's usually 3 or 4 hours.
Okay, just like here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when I get a gig that was easy to get 1 or 2 of a month, a real gig that my name would be on something, I'd get 700 to 1,000
really
euros. And there were a lot of them because there were a lot of events all the time. And people, because everything was, this is just in Amsterdam, Berlin, London, Paris type places. I don't know about every place, but all these places are really close together as well. So you can hit like a lot of spots, and you can take a ride share that would cost next to nothing and go to another gig, and it's only a few hours away. And so I found that in Europe, it was much more, also taxes are so high for people who are like high earners that the income that I was earning as a performer and DJ versus what I earned, because I also did a job there as a technology consultant for a very big company that paid me very well. Okay. But my lifestyle was not far off. It was a little bit easier for me, but I lived in the same houses. I go to the same restaurants. I have the same amount left over at the end of the month. It was
even a DJ didn't boost up the.
But my taxes were high.
Oh, gotcha.
So the thing is they have more of I found that they had more equality among different lifestyles, where in the United States, the disparity was so massive that as a DJ here, I'm going like, man, how am I going to eat? I need to really plan this out. And in Europe, I was like, this is just a normal job. I'm not worried about eating. I'm thinking about what I can save for retirement and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's been a saving grace sometimes, because that term starving artist, it's real. The only thing that has given me solace at times is like, this has been going on before you were born. People who were determined to make a living.
Usually the talented ones.
If you were
a little less talented, it gets a lot easier because then you like that business part more.
Absolutely. And then it can ruin people like Chaka Khan and Mariah Carey. Even Brother Prince, you got a man with his talent walking around with slave written on his face. And that's what I'm talking about. Prince was trying to tell you, slave, that's the music industry. A man as talented as Prince, they even got him, he couldn't afford it. You know what I'm saying? If he could have afforded an attorney, for real, ain't no way he never would. If you don't know some law, you're going to be writing slave on your face, too.
So I have a theory that expands on that. I have a theory that expands on that. I don't believe it's just in entertainment.
It's not.
I think that when there's $1 million on the table, if you have a company, an organization, you cut grass with your buddies, and it'll go really well. In the beginning, you're cutting grass, you're splitting the money, having some beers, things go well. Builds up, year, 2 years, 5 years go by. The point where that grass company moves about $1 million in revenue, is, in my experience, has been the moment where everybody ain't buddies anymore. Suddenly somebody's concerned that somebody's doing all the work and somebody else is taking all, and they both feel the same way. Everybody's, the two guys that started, and all the new people are picking sides. Before you know it, in my experience, it's just something that happens when people get together in groups and their concern is over something that's a big figure in everybody's mind.
Well, I think we discussed kind of that a couple of episodes ago. It's that mentality of lack.
That's right.
Versus mentality of abundance and having enough for everyone. Right? It's like that if like someone has more, then that means I have less. Right? And unfortunately.
That's right. And I believe that is one of the biggest challenges in the world.
It is.
If it would solve the problem, I am not exaggerating that I would chop my pinky off. That's about as much as I'd be willing to give. But if people could just stop that right now, we would have so much more. It would be a worthwhile trade.
It's true. But we have to take our minds off the people, off of the human condition is what I mean by that. Because, like, okay, real quick, there's this guy that I got turned on to by Jared May, my bass player and buddy from Aero Tribe, right? So he turned me on. We've been building for years. So I was saying some stuff recently where he was like, have you ever heard of Bashar? And I was like, no, who's that? He said, there's this guy named Daryl Anka, and he's a channeler, right? And he channeled this ET. He says he channeled this ET. His name was Bashar. So Jared got me on this, and so I'm all over this. The reason why is because I believe it. I was thinking it already, and that's why Jared turned me on, because from the way I was talking, he was like, have you heard of Bashar? You're like, that kind of thing. Let me tell you, what this Bashar is saying, there's no such thing as lack. Because in my mind, it's like, even if you're not a Christian, like that kind of thing. Like I grew up Catholic. It's okay. I'm all right. But I do love.
I'm glad.
But I said, but I love the ritual and the sense and stuff. I feel very Catholic in a lot of ways.
Okay.
But so he said, the Bible says we were made from the earth, which means earth. That means it gives to everything. It gives life to everything. Okay. So if we're, and it's the truth scientifically, everything that's in you and me is in this earth. Every element, everything that's on Jupiter, and everything on Mars. So I was sitting there thinking, well, the universe is not based on a principle of lack. It's not even based there. There's nothing about the universe that is lacking. So if we are made from that principle, that means that this is impossible. Like we're thinking this and all this. So when Brother Jared heard me saying these types of things, then he was telling me about this. Bashar said, now if that's he said the universe loves you so much that if you need to think that you're lacking something, you can do that because it may be serving you for you to get somewhere else. But he said that's impossible. For you to be lacking is not scientific. He said, I'm not talking about nothing religious. He said, it's scientifically impossible because that's not the source that you're made from.
You're evolved to need air and water and things of the earth, and they're all around you.
And it's in you. You can't escape it. There's no escape. And what made me think about that, Alexander, is what you're saying about abundance. When you start talking about the disparity between, okay, well, he making this, we started this company together. Why he making more? Now, if you already just felt abundance and they're not taking nothing from you.
That's right.
All your needs are met. Whatever you think, it's all in your mind. But if you need to, like Bashar said, if you need to think that they're taking something from you and that you don't already have everything you need, then do that until you realize. But intellectually look at it and see if that's really serving you, if that's really making sense, what you're going through. If it's not intellectually making sense, you can let it go. In closing on that, years ago, I saw a movie about a scientist. It's a real true story, and he was schizophrenic.
Is it the
Awakenings with
no.
And I'm gonna know it when I hear it too.
Oh man.
It's a true story.
Yeah.
About a schizophrenic.
Yes, he's a scientist.
Yeah, gosh.
Can you give me a little more details? What does he do?
Okay, Well, he gets locked up in an asylum, and eventually he breaks out. So that sounds like Mission Impossible or this movie I'm talking about.
Oh, maybe it's a different movie.
No,
it got like Oscars and everything. No, or maybe that's.
No, it's a big movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna think of it, but anyway, but it's a true story. But the point is, the story is about this scientist. This is a real guy, and I saw him say something years ago. At the real person, he said, "I started using my intellect to cure myself from schizophrenia." He said, "Once I escaped from the insane asylum and got off all the meds and stuff," he said, when I would be walking down the street, this is the real guy in a documentary I saw. He said, I would say to myself, nope, nobody's following you. They're just not. He said, I'm thinking that they are because I'm going through this episode with my schizophrenia. Yeah. There's nobody following me.
Not One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
No, I think it's called
A Beautiful Mind. Yeah. That's it.
Oh, I love Beautiful Mind.
I love that movie.
Nash. Robert Nash, the story of Robert Nash.
Okay.
And also what I love about this movie is another great thing when I was talking about earlier, related to what I was talking about earlier, he talks about a positive sum game. He was the one who put the initial mathematics together that the military even uses to this day for strategy and engagement.
Wow.
So he puts together this ultimate engagement strategy. And in the movie, they typify this. They show this where he goes in and he talks with some guys and he's like, so we all want these to go out and meet a girl. We want to go home with a girl. And remember, he starts breaking this down. He's like, but if we work together, this is the end point of his explanation, we're more likely to go home with a girl instead of going here and all of us talking to the same girl. Otherwise, we're all going to walk here. We're all going to talk to the same girl. She's not going to go home with any of us.
Right.
None of the girls are going to go home with anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Or we could organize. And he basically, demonstrates the positive sum game.
Isn't that something?
And I love this because it wasn't until then that we had a mathematical principle, a principle that's irrefutable, that says you need to work with other people. Stop just trying to go it rogue.
Community versus competition.
And that individual self says, oh, I need to take this. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I'll take this. I'll take that. That person has something I don't have. Look, how can I get what they have? That's that primal brain that, it's in there and you need it to survive. But wrapped around it is all the love, all the fun stuff, all the really good cognitive process, all the really nice stories come from the empathy. What can you share? Understanding that we all need a drink. We all need communication. We all need this, so we can provide that together. And
it's so true.
And the one consolation I have is that every decade that goes by, as I worry about this, a friend of mine came back from Africa. He was studied to be a doctor and then became a witch doctor. Took off from his medical studies, went to Africa, became a witch doctor, then came back, finished his medical studies. And he told me on one of his trips back, he said, what's really plaguing you is that you see how you want things to be. You're always coming up with an idea. I was saying, oh, this is what's wrong with the world, and people think this way. And he's like, but everything is in balance in the world. It's fine. And he's like, it's what you're focused on that's making it seem this way. And once I let that go, I realized, it is true. The world is, it is this loving, open, and a very caring world. I just have to take away some of the things I had from my own individual experience and putting that into a time relationship and realize that what time is actually doing is making everything better. Every decade that's gone by, these problems that we're talking about were worse in the past.
I'm with you.
You give me a time machine, take me to the future, not the past. I'm scared of the past.
Yeah. And people ask me about things in the past sometimes, like, do you miss being on tour and singing with Mariah and stuff like that? I was like, I said, because I am just thrilled that happened. Like sometimes I'll even be watching something on television or YouTube, or her fans who are very much in touch with me will send me something I had never seen. Because you got to remember, when I was singing with her, there was no YouTube.
Yeah, that's right.
We would go to Europe, all over Europe, and we would film these shows, and I never saw them. But because of YouTube, her fans over the years have sent me stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot. I don't even know what show this is. I don't remember this, but I know I'm there. So there we are, you know. But yeah, but I wouldn't want to go back to doing that because I said I have my own songs now. So no, I don't miss. I'm just thrilled that happened with such a talented and sweet person.
That's right.
You know, like to actually see the making of something like that from nothing. Like I could have gone to Walmart and said, Mariah Carey over in the fruit department. And everybody would have been like, who? You see, like I knew her from back then, you know. And then to see to actually be working in a system where we went from that to now I'm on the Grammy Awards with her. And from that to she just won. What? I'm singing with somebody who just won a Grammy? And let me tell you how crazy the mind is. I don't know what you would call this psychologically, but this had to come from something in my past or my raising. I thought that she was not going to win the Grammy that night because I was there.
Oh.
God is my witness.
I think maybe it's your humility and it's something that maybe drives you.
No. But why would I be trying? That's her. But I'm dissing her blessings. I'm thinking that she's not going to win for songs she wrote on her album. Because I guess I'm only bringing this up because I'm hoping one of y'all can tell me what the world psychologically that would mean.
Well, I used to have that. Now that you said, like, when I was a kid, my brother, he practiced, I guess, karate, and every time they would go to do the certifications for the belt, we would go to support. I was a kid. I don't know. I was like under 10 or 10, but I would always I would cover my eyes because I thought if I look at him, he's gonna fail.
So you really do know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
okay, she's better one to ask. I'm the opposite. I always think everybody's going to do good because I'm
to be honest.
And really, people in the back going, well, I guess we'll give it to him even though he came with that guy.
Right.
And I'm going, this is great.
Oh, wow.
No, but I think it might be even something before birth. Something like inherited maybe in your gestation or even before you were conceived. Something inherited maybe not even from your parents or from it. I don't know, because it's, to me, the emotion associated with it is guilt. Like I don't know why, but I'm gonna be guilty for him failing, you know. So for me to avoid this, because I'm already bringing this, I'm just not gonna look, right? So, and I mean, as a 10-year-old, what can you be guilty of? Right. So that's why I'm thinking it might not even be my emotion, but like speaking of like ancestral, syndrome.
I can understand that.
But also, don't you think you guys? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
But you guys are both quite humble, and I wonder if it's attached to this humility.
My presence, how is it gonna influence?
That's what I'm thinking now. Just what she said.
Me looking at him, how is it gonna affect him? He can't even not see me because.
Yeah, like I wasn't thinking like that then. I've been thinking like that in retrospect over the years. I'm like, why am I thinking because I'm here, it's going to affect her blessing?
Yeah. But I wonder if that humility internally is tied to a deep sense of empathy. And that you're thinking so intent. No?
Like maybe if she loses, I'm going to be so hurt.
Because it's not how it felt.
No, I don't know. I didn't feel it. I'm
no, but I'm checking out what you're saying. You're saying like your empathy about it might be so great. Like the only thing I could tie to that, it would be like I don't get it. Like,
no, I don't get it.
How would I have felt if she lost?
Yeah. But also empathy.
Well, I would have said, I knew it. Like, what would I have said? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Not one, but two that night. The person that's not going to win. Two.
See, when I think about things like that, I always think, because I don't have the same thing, but sometimes I think about something horrible that could happen. And then I think, man, what are the odds of that? Whenever I think of something happening horrible, that never happens. Something else horrible happens, but not that. So I feel like I'm eliminating it by thinking about it. If I think about it, I'm like, oh, no, that definitely isn't going to happen because nothing I think about is going to happen like that.
You mean that in positive or negative?
I mean it in like a positive way. I was going to one gig one time and it seemed like I was about to end up in what was that movie called where they take people, Hostel. They take people back and torture them. I was going to a gig and these two women are with me with next to nothing on, and they put in a key, and it took 2 keys to go up in an elevator, and I was like, oh my God, I'm about to get murdered like in Hostel.
Wow, that's like a movie. I like this.
It was crazy. I thought for sure I was about to get murdered. And but then I thought, there's no way that's going to happen. What are the odds that I watch the movie Hostel and then go to Europe and then go to a gig in Amsterdam, and then it's like the movie Hostel? Thank goodness it's not. But that was what was running through my head. I was thinking, nah, that's not going to happen because I thought about it. Like something else got to happen.
Okay, so you're saying that you think about this bad thing is not going to happen because I'm thinking it. Exactly. That's how I know it's not going to happen. Because what would the chances be that I would be thinking of this and it happened?
Exactly.
Oh, I got it. Yep, that's one thinking. That hasn't been mine, but I totally get that. That should have been mine.
Yeah.
See, I should have been hanging out with you.
Yeah, that should have been my thinking.
I'd have been I'd have been that lawyer that works for artists. I'd have been
God.
I'd have been I'm always doing the bad job in a good way. That's how I ended up being the CEO. It's just because nobody would do it right. And I was like, well, I guess I got to do it. I never wanted to.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes a CEO. People that have that kind of personality. For sure.
I really insist on defending people legally. And even to this day, I had to deal with lawyers all the time. I got to manage lawyers.
Wow.
Otherwise, they're going to get in my pocket, and every win will cost me more than whatever I get. So I'll just be paying lawyers all the time.
Yeah, but how much of what they're talking, because, it's like the Constitution, lawyers wrote the Constitution. That was not written for the common man to be able to grasp.
That's right. Who else would write the term 3/5 of a person? That's not the type of thing any normal human being writes.
What does it?
That's what they wrote in the law for black people. They called them 3/5 of a person.
How far are we trying to go with this conversation? We can go in, because I just got some information about that.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
From a friend of mine out in California who's studying law. It's a black brother, right?
Mm-hmm. Maybe we need to do another show on that, just because I do want to get in it. We can, please. Yeah, let me shut up.
And we mentioned that. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
Right? He's out in Cali. And he said,
we might have to tell her what we're talking about because she's not from the U.S.
You can explain, yeah.
So you just explained.
Yeah, there are people that think in the Constitution that black people in America during that time were considered 3/5 of a human being, right? And
this was after the vote. These were a beginning of what were called Jim Crow laws. So it was a series of laws that were specifically designed to disenfranchise black people and to marginalize black people just as soon as the Civil War had basically just made everybody theoretically equal, but then this comes in. So I just wanted you to know a little bit of context there.
And he said that's not what it's saying, Pat. I said, well, what is that? He said that he was explaining that they were talking about the senators, and it depends on how many people are in are landowners and things like that. That those were the people that were considered to be human. You could have been black, white, Chinese, or whatever. You would not have been considered a whole human being during that writing. He said
that is a good point. I didn't think about it.
Very good point. So I said, okay, and so I was getting upset.
We're in the same category.
I was getting upset. I was like, Brother Yazik, I was like, everybody knows that's what they said. He said, Brother Pat, read it. I said, okay, so I see what's up. I said, you're talking to me like a lawyer. You're not going about what I'm feeling, what I've heard, and all this different stuff. I said, you're talking to me about how that's written like in law. And I know that you're right. You do what I'm saying? So, yeah, those were lawyers that wrote that. Brother Frederick Douglass, he mentioned that slavery is not even mentioned in the Constitution. The word slavery, the buying of humans, the trafficking of humans, were not even mentioned. Yeah. Because it's attorneys. They can't write that. They're attorneys. They already know they cannot write that.
Yeah. It was already unpopular. It was already
unpopular. Right, yeah. And he told me it was never legal. I got upset again. I'm like, what are you talking about? There were the slaves at White Houses and stuff like that. He said it wasn't legal. I said, brother, what are you saying? He said, how do people sell crack? I said, they just do it. He said, exactly. He said it was never like a written law that was legal. They were just doing it. Because I felt like felt like there was some truth there.
If the police had actually upheld the law equally, it would have never occurred.
Absolutely not, because it was not lawfully legal. You know why? Because
the people who write the lower level laws, because the lower level laws definitely were written with black people. Black people can use this water fountain, not the little municipal codes and whatnot. But none of those people enforced it. So it was more like it was like a conspiracy, but it was like a conspiracy of a bunch of people who just wanted to keep things the way they wanted them no matter what.
That's it.
And it got worse and worse because it wasn't even like slavery was in other places. So
no, it wasn't the same thing.
It was way worse, I think, here from what I've seen. I don't know. I wasn't there, and it's hard to say what's worse. But in America, it feels like the situation was worse off than in Europe, where there also were slaves. At least among the stories I know, because my ancestors also were they were Irish, and they were poor Irish people. So there were a lot of indentured people.
Yeah,
who were
Irish people got a bad rap. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I think everybody's had hard times, but sometimes are just epically just so wrong that they stand out permanently in our mind of like things we don't ever need to do again.
Yeah, like that. And there's always been slavery before transatlantic and all of that. There's always been. I mean, if you read the Bible, that there were supposed to be slaves in Egypt. So it's not new. That's what happened from Africa to America. It was not a new concept. So, but anyway,
I think the preservation of it is what's so dastardly. I think you're right. It's not a new concept, but to not let it die out and to let it continue to get this bad is it feels insidious at that point.
Yeah, it was a very demoralizing type of situation on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
On purpose, and that's the level of fear, and you wonder why some people were that afraid that why would you tell somebody they can't read? Why would you tell somebody they can't beat drums?
Yeah.
You're afraid of drums. So, it's a whole another thing.
And I think it's something, that's right. We should I'll have to have you back. We'll have another conversation on this because I'm very fascinated in this topic. There are ongoing cultural wars around the world. Even now, we see people talking about there's pro-Palestinian supporters in universities, and then there's people who say, after what Hamas did, Israel is doing what they have to do, and so there's these camps. And I've always been, I think, in the same camp we all are in this room, at least. That's camp, peace, no war, people not blowing each other up. I want that to stop. I want people not to be ridiculing one another. Let's have an intelligent conversation. Let's share, good ideas, love, peace, music. Let's talk more about heartbreak and things that are already difficult enough without the pure exploitation and
like fame. Like, why do people want to be famous and they don't know what fame is?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Where are you getting that from? TV?
Yeah. It can be very difficult.
Barbara Streisand said recently, she said, I wanted to be famous until I became famous. And that goes for everybody.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've had friends even in town here because, of course, I only got to experience that kind of fame in New York because I was with someone who became famous. Because you're on camera, people start recognizing you in clubs and you in the street as well. That was weird. But in Jacksonville, like New York was good for my rep because, you leave town and you want to make sure everybody sees that you're doing something. Hey, Miss Johnson, tell everybody I will be outside that lot tonight or whatever. You're calling neighbors and stuff because they're all so proud of you. But the reason you don't tell them is because the people will try to knock your dreams out of your hand. I did not feel supported by the people in my neighborhood when I was talking about I wanted to sing. I got hurt, a little resistance a couple of times, so I shut up. And they were, oh, you can't sing. But when I got to New York and I started being on Arsenio and all these different stores. I would call and tell their mamas and them. And I thought I was going to get a chance to kind of It wasn't like that, because when you come home, they are so happy and so proud that they know you never get to put that finger up at them. You know what I'm saying? Like you wanted, like you left thinking that you were going to do it because you felt like you were going to make something of yourself. And you used to be saying, I'm going to come back, I'm going to give them the finger. It doesn't happen. They're so happy for you. And now they're asking, okay, Pat, take a picture with me. The girl at work don't believe we grew up together. You know, it's a total, you do what I'm saying? Man, it's received. It didn't feel like anything arrogant or nothing. It was received, you know.
I had to grow in this way. I learned that I started seeing that all the people that I like being around, as well as people who are successful, all had a universal trait in that they're speaking positively of others and uplifting. And I thought about, you know, a lot of these people, I'm like, how do you not have all these other people in your life? Like, I'm constantly worried about what this guy's doing or what that guy was doing. And I don't like, you know, this way of doing things in the world of computers, and I like it better this other way, and I got opinions about it. And then I started realizing it doesn't matter. Talk about more about just the positive parts. It's more enjoyable. It's more fun for everybody, and who cares about the rest of the stuff? Yeah.
It's just that going into this industry, you would go into it all big and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and with a bunch of dreams.
Bushy-tailed.
And it's true. You know, and then you get in it and you see what it really is, and then it's just like, so I really want people to know that it's not that I don't want them to sign contracts and take care of their families and stuff like that, but I'm saying while you're doing that, understand what you're signing. Fame is what they think that they're after. They don't understand what's going along with that. There are people getting locked up that made people famous. Right now, there are people getting locked up in the entertainment industry who have made people famous.
That's right.
You dig what I'm saying? So I tell my brother, I might be using the right word, acronym, but anyway, for fame, FAME. I wrote this in my journal not long ago. False admiration made emanate. You know, it's made, it's a false admiration. You don't really love me like that. You don't know me. You like all this glitter and stuff you see in my videos. It's a false admiration, okay? And but it's made to shine, to be eminent, to bright. It's made. It's all made. If you fall out of sorts with somebody in that company, they'll have another girl, same type of hairdo and everything, just like you.
The show must go on.
The show must go on, and they don't care nothing about you. And the more you know, they start. I have talked to, been in negotiations with record companies. Ariel Tribe, we had an opportunity in New York, and we had an entertainment attorney friend of ours in Miami who had schooled us on the questions we should be asking this record company. He wasn't charging us or nothing. He was like, okay, but make sure you ask them this and that. The people, we were on a conference call, the people were getting upset. And I said to him, brother, why are you getting upset because we're asking these questions? These are logical questions, you know? But that's what I'm saying. It's like, more you know, they get upset because then they can't play the game. Why do you want to play the game? Why can't you just tell people what's happening?
Yeah, that's right.
Why can't you just tell them? And so that's what the thing is. I don't like the good part. Like you said, you would wish it could all just be positive, but I want them to know that it's not all.
Oh yeah, you got to be careful out there.
Yeah, it's the gift that's positive. Your gift. We've been singing in the shower and singing around the house and driving our mothers and stuff crazy before we ever signed the record contract. That's the part you have to hold on to because they don't care. They see you, they want you, they're going to give you some money that you're going to pay back unknowingly, like we talked about earlier. You see what I'm saying? It's just this thing, and then they'll be making you feel like you're not selling records. It has nothing to do with them and their promotion. Their job is to make you think you're doing the album that they didn't sell like the one last time. You okay? Is everything all right?
Yeah, these guys work on margins, which means they're always squeezing. They're always squeezing on one side and squeezing on the other, no matter what you produce. I think that's why there's more and more independent things starting up, and it's easier to start up independent things now.
Yeah.
So that's what. Speaking of independent things, you got I put a link down below to your one of your sites online. But do you I wondered what you might want to plug before we end the show. Anything you want to mention you got going on, upcoming, or
things to get excited about?
Yeah,
I'm excited about just, I took 3 years off. I had been working for in locally, and which took us around outside of local, for over 20 years, right? And then I just got burned out. I was like, okay, where are you going with this? You're working a lot, but where are you going with this? You got a bunch of songs of your own that you recorded, 7 CDs, but they only hire you in town to do covers. And, you can mix your songs in with them, but you're not getting hired to do your own songs, So I'm just trying to figure what my place is. But in the meantime, I had to get on some online vocal lessons because, in other words, I took off. And when I started, now that I'm singing again, I was like, I noticed some stuff wasn't coming out as easy as it had been before, So now I'm back at the, I'm back in vocals, like literally on YouTube, watching this lady Victoria. She's awesome, and it's helping. I already see the difference. So I just want people to. I don't know what I got going on. Music. I'm always writing something. I'm always singing. I'm not waiting to be in front of people to be singing.
What can we? Do you sell your records? Or
where can people get your
iTunes
music
and stuff like that?
iTunes?
Yeah, a couple of them are. Most of the CDs that I have are not.
Where can people find your music? Where can people find
iTunes, Aerial Tribe.
Aerial Tribe?
Yeah.
Online? Can they buy them online?
Yeah, and enjoy it because we've sold some online and we've never seen a dime. So I don't know how that works. See, I'm not even ready to be in this industry because I don't even know how iTunes work. One thing I know is writing and singing and recording and performing. You see what I'm saying? I'm still not really equipped to be
for the viewers. I gotta say, Patrick was surprised when he came in. I said, "This is one of your songs, isn't it?" He goes, "I think maybe it is." And I said, "It's did you do backup vocals on this?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, now I remember it." That's the song you heard at the beginning of the show. If you rewind to the beginning of the show, you'll hear a little bit of it.
Yeah. One of the funniest things is to sometimes be in, like I may go to Publix, right? And, they have the music on. And I'll hear a Mariah Carey song that I'm actually singing on. And, you have an urge sometimes to want to say to somebody, I'm singing on this song. They ain't going to believe you, and I've never done it. I'm just saying the urge to do it, I'm like, You got to follow along, though. You got to sing along with it.
Of course. Yeah. Just have the person in the...
know what you want. You're going to make it happen. Make it happen. I'll be doing just that.
Someone's meanwhile trying to get their milk, talking about, wow, the sound system in here is phenomenal.
So that kind of stuff is fun, I'm just living, I live as an artist. I'm not so much living as an artist that's selling music, even though there's music to be sold. So I'm just letting the universe lead me where I need to be because I'm not sure where that is right now outside of singing and writing and performing. I don't know because I took a trip. I called myself moving back to New York a few years ago, right? And Keith Mark happened to be there while I was on this stint. He was in New York, and he called me up. He said, I just saw you. What are you talking about? I didn't know you were going to be. Anyway, I got there on a Sunday. Wednesday, he and I went to be guests at Jimmy Fallon. A friend of ours does his makeup. A friend of ours from Jacksonville does his makeup. She's been with him for years. And somehow me and him got pulled out of the line to be in this dance contest with Jimmy Fallon, right? And we were, and we called everybody. They tape in the daytime, but we would call it everybody. Hey, man, Keith's gonna be on Jimmy Fallon tonight. I didn't want to tell them while we were in line. I wanted to wait till it happened. I don't like coming soon.
Yeah.
So the universe said this to me. Listen, you just need to chill. Because if I want you to be on international TV again, it can happen just like that. You just came up here, you've been here since Sunday, 3-4 days, and you're already in front of cameras on a national television show. Like, stop thinking that you're not where you're supposed to be. Jacksonville is good for you as an artist, not for your rep. Mariah Carey and Michael Bolton and Shaka Khan and all these people that did that for me. You got a rep because you went up there and did what you thought you would do, right? But Jacksonville, Duval,
yeah,
right. That gave me my my sea legs as an artist, writing songs, recording, singing with bands. You know, I'm in therapy every time you see me singing because I am a shy person, you know. But when you're standing in front of people, like, you're not going to deny yourself because you're so shy. Well, you're never going to be able to sing, huh? Because you're scared to stand in front of people and do it, huh? Wow, what a jerk. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in therapy every single time I'm up there.
Well, it's certainly to our benefit. We definitely appreciate it. And we appreciate you also coming on the show.
I love this. Thank you. I'm so sorry I could not find this place. I could not find it for nothing.
Yeah, you got here right on time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say right on time. So, in fact, it was very authentic. It's right on style. It's on style because you came in. We just started rolling immediately because, so no worries. Yeah. And we'll, and I think we're going to have another one because I got a lot of subjects that we started and I wanted to go deeper.
That's why I was like, how far are you trying to go with this?
I'll go deep with you, but we got to, I think, wrap it up probably for today.
Okay.
I don't know everybody's schedule, but I'm going to take you to lunch after this if you got time.
Okay.
So thank you guys for tuning in.
Yes.
Thank you, Patrick, for joining us.
Love life, love music, take care of yourself, and learn what you're trying to get into. It can be a great gift if you know.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? If you know, you need to know.
That's right.
Don't be fooled.
Putting in the time and being careful with your talents.
Exactly.
That's right. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah.
Peace and love, audience.
All my videos ended. How do I turn this off?